All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about the future of our most essential resource, water. But we're not just talking about scarcity. We're actually going to follow the money and see where this new flood of investment is headed to solve one of the biggest challenges on the planet. You know, we see it everywhere. Our planet is this beautiful blue marble, covered in water, 71% of it to be exact. From space, it really looks like we have an infinite supply. But you know, that image, it's dangerously misleading.
So if that's the case, how on earth is the water crisis consistently ranked as a top 5 global risk by the World Economic Forum, right? That huge disconnect? Well, that's the trillion-dollar paradox we're going to unpack today.
So let's start with what we're calling the trillion-dollar paradox. This massive gap between how much water we see and how shockingly little of it we can actually use. You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head. Water isn't just some passive victim of a warming planet. Think about it. Water vapor is the most abundant greenhouse gas. It actually amplifies the warming from CO2, so it's caught in this really complex and dangerous feedback loop.
And the consequences of this cycle? Well, they're becoming terrifyingly clear. Get this, projections show that by 2030, and that is right around the corner, global demand for water is set to outstrip our reliable supply by a staggering 40%.
And this really gets to the two faces of the crisis. On one hand, you've got this destructive abundance. I mean, cities like Jakarta are literally sinking from rising sea levels. And then, on the complete opposite side, you have extreme scarcity, where half the world's population is already facing severe shortages, the kind that can destabilize entire regions.
So here's where the investment disconnect comes in. The scale of the water problem is in the trillions, but the investment in tech to fix it? It's been a tiny, tiny sliver. Less than 3% of all climate tech venture capital. It's been a drop in the bucket until now.
And that shift, it's kicking off what a lot of people are calling the blue gold rush, a whole new wave of innovation that is finally attracting some very serious capital. Okay, so to really get a handle on where this money is going, you can pretty much break the innovation landscape into 4 key arenas. First, there's conservation. That's all about just using less. Then there's quality and treatment, which is about cleaning up what we've got. Third is access. This is about creating brand new sources of fresh water. And finally, resource recovery, which is the really cool idea of turning wastewater into something valuable.
So in conservation, we're seeing some brilliant digital solutions. You've got companies like Sewer AI using AI to crawl through city pipes and predict when they're going to fail. In our own homes, smart sensors from Flow by Moen can detect a leak instantly and just shut the water off. And in agriculture, which uses a ton of water, Ratio Smart Irrigation can slash waste by up to 50%. That's huge.
Now, what about creating water out of thin air? Literally, this is where things get wild. Source Global has these things called hydro panels that pull pure drinking water directly from the air using nothing but sunlight. It's amazing. At the same time, you have Waneka Technologies using the power of ocean waves to run desalination buoys. The big idea here is that these are decentralized solutions. They make fresh water right on site, in remote places where you could never build a traditional plant.
Okay, so all this innovation is incredible, right? But it needs fuel, it needs money. So who's writing the checks? Let's follow the smart money.
Here's the headline number for you. Venture funding in water tech hit $1.9 billion in 2023. Now that's a 27% jump from the year before. This isn't just a small bump, it's a real signal that investors are waking up and paying attention.
But where's that money really going? I mean, digital solutions get a lot of deals, but the average size of those investments tells a completely different story. The biggest checks, by far, are being written for resource recovery. So why is that? Well, because these companies take nasty industrial wastewater and turn it from a liability into an asset. They're recovering valuable minerals, nutrients, even generating energy. For a big industrial company, this is a clear path to both profitability and sustainability. It's a no-brainer.
So what's driving this surge? Well, it's a whole new breed of investor. And this quote from Burnt Island Ventures, who's the most active water VC out there, it just says it all. See, your average generalist investor, they get bogged down by the long sales cycles and the tricky regulations in the water industry. So specialists have had to step in. And here are some of the key players on the field. You've got Burnt Island leading the pack, Pure Terra Ventures, which is backing some really disruptive industrial tech. Emerald Technology Ventures has a massive water impact fund. And XPV Water Partners, they're a huge player managing over $1 billion in assets. We are talking about serious capital here.
Okay, so let's put some names to these numbers. We're going to do a quick fire round of some of the most exciting innovators who are really shaping what the future of water tech looks like.
First up is Gradient. This is the water tech sector's very first unicorn. We're talking $1 billion valuation. And what do? They take the most complex, contaminated wastewater from industries like pharma and semiconductors, and they turn it back into a reusable asset for them.
Then you have Oceanwell, with a completely different, really fascinating approach to desalination. Instead of these huge energy-guzzling plants on the shore, they're developing what they call subsea water farms that use the natural pressure of the deep ocean to power the whole process. It's an elegant solution that could just slash energy costs.
We all hear about microplastics, right? They're everywhere. Well, Polygon is tackling that problem head-on. They're designing these portable filters specifically to capture and remove those tiny pollutants from wastewater. It's a direct solution to a very modern problem.
And finally, let's talk about our crumbling infrastructure. Fracta is using machine learning to solve a massive headache for cities. Their AI analyzes all the data on a city's water mains and predicts with incredible accuracy which pipes are about to break. I mean, think about the water and money that saves by letting them do proactive repairs. So, with all this amazing technology and this new flood of investment, what's it actually going to take to forge a resilient water future?
Look, all this amazing tech, it isn't a silver bullet. It can't work in a vacuum. To really build a resilient future, we need a whole strategy. We have to keep increasing smart investment from both the private and public sectors. We absolutely have to integrate these new technologies into our old, aging infrastructure. Policy needs to catch up with regulations that actually encourage conservation. And finally, we have to get way faster at testing and validating new tech to get it from the lab into the market where it can make a difference.
The mindset is definitely shifting. Water isn't just a resource to be managed anymore, it's a strategic asset for our economy, for our health, for our entire future. And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. Are we investing smartly enough and fast enough to actually secure it,